Lore Master, Lore Master, Lore Master, Lore Master.
Druids are present in both the Alliance and the Horde. Priests are the most common in the Alliance, and Shamans are encountered most exclusively in the Horde. Not all healers use divine magic, and some are known for using mundane materials such as potions, ointments, and bandages through alchemy. First aid are other means. These represent a healer's profession rather than a class. Epic healer, Tauren healer, Tauren epic healer in the RPG. An epic healer is a paragon of restoration and protection. They hold their party together with strength and determination, and others can count on her to pull them out of the fire. When adventuring gets rough, they burn with an unshakable inner faith that scours their enemies. They concentrate on improving their spellcasting ability with a few nods toward defense as well. Meta magic feats make even their lowliest spell impressive. They consider their transcendent spell, especially most of their ability increases, go to wisdom, though occasional boost to strength and constitution improve their combat prowess. Horde healers replace the shamans of the Horde. After many shamans became warlocks, the orcs of the Draenor were known for their shamanistic culture. When they attacked the Draenor, the elemental spirits began to leave them due to the imbalance in nature. The shamans became warlocks, and many orcs were trained as healers to replace the healing abilities of the shamans. These healers use their knowledge of potions, ointments, and bandages to heal the wounds of the original Horde. This may be a reference to a healer profession rather than the healer class. Healer pass, druid, priest, shaman, witch doctor, divine domains. Various domains are accessible to healers depending on their path. Divine domains describe healer spells and help to find divine spells. Arcana, animal, ancestors, magic derived from the worship of ancestors, and by the power of ancestors is the ancestor domain. Several faiths believe in the ancestral worship, including Tauren, orcs, and Tuskar. Crusader, death, destruction, elements, foretelling, healing, madness. The madness domain is magic often derived from chaotic and terrible sources such as the old gods. It grants power to certain nihilistic cults or crazed priests. Power, her protection, spirits, war, wild. Being a mage means no one power can flow in more than one direction. Ganbar, Singebeard. The mage, also called mages. Magician or wizard is a damage-dealing spellcaster that specializes in burst damage and area of effect spells. Mages are well known for their formidable damage output as well as their range of crowd control abilities. Mages are also capable of performing a number of utility roles, from conjuring refreshments for their allies to teleporting or opening portals to major cities. Their greatest power has always been their creativity of finding new and explosive ways to use their magic. Mages wear only cloth armor but compensate for this with a range of armor spells, breathing themselves in flame, frost, or even arcane energies. Nonetheless, when fighting melee opponents, mages stay alive by incapacitating attackers and always keep one step ahead and well out of reach. Mages are quick and can spell arcane, blink away from attackers, deploy a first spell, frost nova to freeze whole groups in their tracks, or even use ability mage invisibility to slip into the shadows. Mages are masters of kiting and can use their enviable range snares and crowd control abilities to defeat whole groups of opponents without putting a hair out of place. Mages' primary goal in groups at lower levels is damage dealing and crowd control through the use of spell nature, polymorph, temporarily changing humanoids and beasts into harmless critters at endgame levels. Mages' impressive damage output is supplemented with useful abilities such as spell frost, ice shock, counterspell, and spell arcane spell steal. In PvP, mages deal range damage while using snare stuns and spell nature, polymorph to control enemy players. Mages are the archetypal glass cannons capable of dealing an immense amount of damage if left uninterrupted but vulnerable to attack. Mages compensate for this with a range of snare stuns and incapacitation effects and must keep on their toes if they are to survive. Mages can be an extremely fun class to play with enviable damage output, strong crowd control, and some interesting utility spells. Weather blasting foes with invisible mishead, Dragon 01, Dragon's Breath, or freezing attackers in a spell frost, ring of frost. Mages are a powerful presence on the battlefield, masters of the arcane. Mages can use their metal powers to alter the very fabric of reality, turning snarling attackers into harmless sheep or even altering time itself. Quick of mind, a fleet of foot. Mages stay one step ahead of their enemies, summoning frost and ice to entrap their assailants, and great fireballs and walls of flame to decimate their foes. Undisputed masters of the very fabric of reality, and the foolish do not fear the coming of a mage. In Dragonflight, the mage class will be available to all playable races. Besides Drekthir, this means that the mages will be newly available to Tauren and High Mountain Tauren. Students gifted with a keen intellect and unwavering discipline may walk the path of the mage. The arcane magic available to the mage is both great and dangerous, and thus is revealed only to the most devoted practitioners to avoid interference with their spellcasting. Magi wear only cloth armor, but arcane shields and enchantments give them additional protection to keep their enemies at bay. Magi can summon bursts of fire to incinerate distant targets and cause entire areas to erupt, setting groups of foes ablaze. Masters of ice can summon and command blizzards that tear into flesh and limit movement. Should enemies manage to survive this assault, the mage can shrink them into a harmless sheep into the blink of an eye. Powerful magi can even generate enhancements and portals, assisting allies by sharpening their minds and transporting them instantly across the world. Creation screen description: magi are wizards of immense knowledge and skill. Their obvious and physical frailty is deceptive, for they can call upon the cosmic energies of the twisting nether. Rarely do magi engage in melee combat. Instead, they prefer to attack from distance, hurling powerful bolts of frost and flame at their unsuspecting enemies. Mages are the iconic magic users of Azeroth who learn their craft through intense research and study. They make up for their light armor with a potent array of offensive and defensive spells. Mages are spellcasting savants, flinging fire, frost, and arcane sorcery at their foes from afar. Early Keldor civilization was defined by direct manipulation of magic drawn from the Well of Eternity to create and sustain their society. Their constant use of the Well attracted the attention from Sargeras and the Burning Legion, who manipulated the highborn Queen Ashara into using the well as a gateway, granting the Legion entry into Azeroth. The Legion's arrival sparked massive conflict, which would later be known as the War of the Ancients. The war had grave consequences, for even though the combined might of Azeroth's mortal races were victorious, the continent of Kalimdor was shattered, and the swirling, raging miasma of sea storms flowed into the vacant area where the Well of Eternity used to reside. This great sundering caused the Well's energies to permeate the atmosphere and spread magic all over the world. This event convinced the majority of Night Elves to reject arcane magic and embrace Malfurion Storm Raid, call for Druidism. Many of the surviving Highborn could not endure this lifestyle, suffering as they were from withdrawal. Now that they could no longer draw on the Well's arcane energies, their leader, Jathramar, Sunstrider, called the Druids, cowards for refusing to use the magic he considered their birthright in spite of Malfurion's warning that any use of magic would be punishable by death. Deathramar led his fellow Highborn in revolt, conjuring a giant magical storm in Ashenvale, and in the attempt to convince the Druids to suspend the law, unwilling to execute so many of their fellow elves, Malfurion and the Druids instead exiled the Highborn from their lands. Deathramar and his followers chose to set sail from Kalimdor, eventually landing in Lordaeron, where they would ultimately found the Kingdom of Quel'Thalas and call themselves High Elves. When their kingdom came under siege by the trolls Azul, Moon, and the High Elves agreed to teach 100 humans the arts of magic in exchange for military aid from the human nation of Arathor. From these two races, the arcane arts have spread to various races all over Azeroth. Mages first appeared as a unit of the Alliance at Lordaeron. In Warcraft 2 Tried the Darkness, they were described as such. Once students of the Conjurers of Azeroth, this new order of mages having forced to discover untapped magical forces to command in their war against the ruthless orcs. Although masters of their arts, the Conjurers who fell during the First War were unprepared for the rigors of warfare. Determined to avoid a similar fate, the mages have undertaken a regime equally demanding on body and soul, thus dedicating themselves to the command of more aggressive and destructive magics, whether in their sanctum at the Violet Citadel in Dalaran or on the many battlefields of Lordaeron. The mages are resolute in their efforts to defend the people. Put together the pre-Warcraft 3 games and novels painted a fairly specific picture of the place of mages in human society. Warcraft I showed that Stormwind had its own secretive conjurer order and that the kingdom had a special relationship with them, even promoting them to the advisors of the court. The Last Guardian confirmed that this southern mage group was officially separated from Dalaran to the point of being referred to as head witches, though some of them still belonged to the Council of Tyr's Fall. Speaking of Dalaran, the Warcraft 2 manual hinted that most Lordaeron mages ultimately answered to the Violet Citadel with the aid of the dragon, showing that the different monarchies of Lordaeron seem to be wary of the Kirin Tor wizards and their politics and to have no mage advisors of their own. There to protect the various kings during the events of the Altera crisis. How much of this remains canonical is unclear. Of note is that in the aftermath of the Second War, an Alterachi mage stole the Book of Medivh from Stormwind City and exchanged it to Ner'zhul for military aid against Lordaeron and Stormguard guard forces, showing that some mages were eventually more loyal to their nation than to the Violet Citadel. The mages appear DPS class with all mage specializations focused on dealing damage and as such is capable of enviable damage output, with launching in a spell Frostblast Ice Lance against frozen target or invoking a spell Frost Ice Storm Blizzard to decimate whole groups of opponents. However, mages also have an extremely diverse selection of craft control and utility abilities, making them far more than just damage dealers from spell arcane and spell magic, spell steel, feather, fall, slow fall, spell frost, ice block, and spell magic, lesser invisibility, mirror image. Mages have some fun and interesting spells at their disposal. Spells for full list, see mage abilities. Mages have a wide variety of spells which fall into 3 schools of magic: arcane, fire, and frost. All spell schools include damage spells. Arcane includes some crowd control and utility, and most frost spells provide a movement slow effect, supplementing their damage. Fire spells are primarily damage dealing spells, including direct single target damage and area of effect damage. Many fire spells include damage over time effects. Fire mages trust heavily on RNG and raid situations. Frost spells are primarily single target and area of effect damage dealing spells, but with more emphasis on chilling effects. Nearly every frost spell has a chill or freeze effect that fully or partially immobilizes an enemy. This includes freezing it in place called a root, or slowing its movement speed called a snare. Frost specialized mages can further improve these chilling effects and increases frost damage output to respectable levels. Frost spells help the mage use kiting as a combat tactic. Arcane spells include single target damage spells and utility. Arcane spells allow the mage to remove curses, provide crowd control, absorb damage, teleport himself or others to major capital cities. Spell magic, feather fall, slow fall, spell frost, ice shock, counter spell, buff player, spell power, mana pools, save mana for later use in the form of mana gems, conjure food for themselves or others, and provide many other conveniences. Mages in combat mana regeneration is provided by abilities such as elemental mote mana, nether attunement, and spell nature, purge, evocation, and the use of low mana casting cycles such as spell fire, soul burn, scorch for fire mages are heavy use of spell nature, starfall, arcane missiles for arcane mages. Gear. See also mage sets. A mage can only wear cloth armor. A mage is able to wield staves, wands, daggers, one-handed swords, and can use items with a slot held in offhand. If using a dagger or one-handed sword in the main hand, wands go in the main hand slot and will continue to shoot once manually started. Attributes: as a spellcaster, a mage's primary stat is intellect, which directly increases the mage's spell power and spell critical strike chance. Secondary stats beneficial to mages are hit rating until reaching the hit cap, critical strike rating, haste rating, and mastery rating. Stamina also benefits mages but should not be focused on at the expense of other stats unless gearing for PvP, agility, strength, spirit, and the other secondary stats should be ignored completely. Specializations: for a full list of specialization abilities, see mage abilities. Mages can choose one of 3 specializations, getting access to unique abilities and bonuses. Mage specializations focus on enhancing individual schools of magic: quick, aggressive fire spells, efficient controlling frost spells, and punishing arcane spells. Arcane manipulates arcane, destroying enemies with overwhelming power. Arcane mages damage focus on spell arcane blast, and spell nature, starfall, arcane missiles. The arcane specialization includes spell nature, slow, powerful instant, single target slowing effect, and ability mage, arcane barrage, and instant damage ranged attack. Arcane mages can provide substantial burst damage with spell nature, lightning, arcane power, and spell nature, enchant armor. Presence of mind leveling as an arcane mage was once very difficult, but with the signature arcane spells ability mage, arcane barrage, spell nature, starfall, arcane missiles, and spell arcane blast. Learned much earlier, it is now a far more feasible leveling build. Mages of the arcane are diviners with secrets, balancing the ebb and flow of incredible mystic energies. Unparalleled skills required to manipulate the volatile forces of the universe. These practitioners push their magical knowledge to its very limits, often to the brink of their own exhaustion and at great risk to the world around them. Those who master this craft are capable of releasing a barrage of unrelenting power upon their enemies, drawing upon replenishing energies to maintain their assault for as long as the battle demands. Fire unites enemies with balls of fire and combustible flames. Fire Mage's damage output is oriented around Spellfire, Fireball, 0-2, and Fire Blast procs whenever the Fire Mage deals 2 critical strikes in a row. Their next Spellfire, Fireball, Fire Blast spell is instant. Fire is very strong in AoE, where spells Fire, Seal, Fire, Combustion, Spellfire, Fireball, Fire Blast, and ability Mage, Living Bomb. Living Bomb can spread via Spell Mage, Infernal Blast. Infernal Blast fights in which players are forced to move frequently can also benefit Fire Mages as Spellfire, Soulburn, Scorch, and instant. Fire Blast can fill the movement time with Arcane Mages can only use the ability Mage, Arcane Barrage. Arcane Barrage, the Fire spec, provides few survival tools that has historically made Fire a good choice for high-end raiders who seek to maximize damage output but poor in PvP due to arena's survival requirements. While any worthy mage is an unparalleled expert in the use of magic and heavily dedicated to their craft, those who master the forces of fire tend to be a little more audacious than their peers. If a threat stands before them, the answer is always to neutralize it in a glorious blaze. A lifetime dedicated to the study of fiery forces only fuels their pyromania, and these mages take pride, even pleasure in igniting their enemies in wild bursts of flames. Mistake their affinity for watching things burn as a lack of self-control at your own peril. Frost freezes enemies in their tracks and shatters them with frost magic. Frost mages specialize in crowd control and snaring foes with their various chills, allowing for powerful kiting and providing good AoE ability. Frost mages also learn spell Frost, summon water elemental, getting a pet which has a freeze ability similar to spell Frost, Frost Nova, Frost AoE makes it the best suited to 5-player dungeons. Frost mages stand apart from their colleagues in that their chosen school of magic focuses on maintaining supreme control over their capabilities of their enemies. Mages who command Frost perform excellent displays on the battlefield, rendering foes immobile as they bombard them with ice. Often the blade never reaches the caster before the bitter cold takes hold. The Frost mages use frigid power as icicles form around them, foreshadowing the wintry demise of those who stand opposed on the field of battle. Mages, the most common of arcanists, are found all over Azeroth. They focus on magic that creates and changes things most often with the purpose of damaging their enemies and boosting the power of their allies. Such beings can obtain a familiar, which is a normal animal that gains new powers and becomes a magical beast when summoned to service by a mage. Well, let's choose to become focused mages. Mages also understand the workings of arcane energy so well that they can counter most magic with great effectiveness, and that mage who has dedication to a natural predilection for one of the schools of specialization becomes more entrenched. At this point, the mage chooses either avocation or transmutation as a preferred school and cast spells from his chosen school. The mages of the Kirin first master the arts of casting spells using elements of ice and fire. Mages are also known for being able to summon elementals, usually water elementals, but can also summon air, earth, and fire elementals as well. The greatest mortal mage to ever live is the Naga Queen Ashara, who still lives. In fact, she may no longer be mortal. The first known mages on Azeroth were elves before the breaking of the Well of Eternity, and the achievement boss Paleo, what about a calculator exile of the high elves who lived on the shores of the Well of Eternity and wielded its powers. Mages who developed their powers outside of conventional Dalaran-approved teachings are called hedge mages. The buildings of a mage's wand is not easy. Rare substances are required, and a vessel must be made that can store great quantities of magical energy. Some sensitive mortals have the ability to naturally sniff out felon arcane magic, being able to detect demons, wizards, and possess people in their realm. Every mage wielded the forces of magic differently, and if one was sensitive enough, one could tell the differences from one mage to the next. Mages have a tendency to premature hair grain from the stress of the magical energies of the well. Despite this, they can have lasting longevity, with human mages being able to survive for 200 years, though a deathly thin and frail egg when bearing a child that's 750 years old was considered an anomaly. According to the Murdered and Bronzebeard, mages have always struck him as people of extreme destructive but physically delicate. The metaphorical glass cannon. He also mentioned that he never met a mage who didn't have twice the curiosity of a cat and less than half one's self-preservative instincts. Mages automatically started the friendly standing with the Kirin faction, making it possible to purchase and wear the in-shirt Goldopar tabard of the Kirin at level 1. All other classes started at neutral with the Kirin When World of Warcraft launched, the mage class was only available to humans, gnomes, trolls, and undead. However, during development, the class was also available to dwarves. Dr. Bill Lee, recurring character from the Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis, states that he plays a mage and makes multiple references to the game, including Elven Force. While his character's race is not explicitly stated, it's assumed from that statement that he plays a human. In all things, paladins must reflect the light which supplements our strength. To strive to be divine for one of our kind does not mean we strive for godhood. We strive to be good in all actions. Although called upon to smite evil in these harsh times, you must always remember that it's aiding others that will truly set you apart from the other citizens. Compassion, patience, bravery, these things mean as much to a paladin as strength in battle. The Tome of Divinity. The Paladin, often shorted the Pala or Pally by players, is a holy knight, a hybrid class with the ability to play a variety of different roles: healing, holy, tanking, protection, and DPS as retribution, firstly introduced into World of Warcraft 2, then as hero units in Warcraft 3, and the character class of World of Warcraft. The Paladins stand directly in front of their enemies, relying on heavy armor and healing in order to survive incoming attacks. Whether with massive shields or crushing two-handed weapons, Paladins are able to keep claws and swords from their weaker fellows, or they use healing magic to ensure that they remain on their feet. Stalwart Paladins are trained to use the heaviest armor and shields and can utilize their skill to ensure that enemies focus on them, defending weaker members of their group. Their potent healing abilities ensure that their allies remain in fighting shape and can be resurrected while they charge their weapons with holy might, allowing them to deal additional damage with their strikes. As champions of order, paladins are extremely potent in a group. Their blessings and auras can improve damage and survivability for both themselves and their party, while withstanding heavy physical damage with plate armor and strong defensive abilities. The greatest strength of a paladin is their conviction that determination to strive to be good in all things. Paladin talents increase their ability to heal the wounded, strengthen their capacity to protect their companions, and allow them to deal out vicious damage in the name of justice. Holy paladins invoke the power of the light to heal and protect allies and vanquish evil from the darkest corners of the world. Protection paladins use holy magic to shield themselves and defend allies from attackers. Through the use of a shield and the wearing of plate armor, they can mitigate quite a bit of physical damage. Retribution paladins are righteous crusaders who judge and punish opponents with weapons and holy magic. Paladins are holy knights and protectors of the people and defense dispensers of justice, where a holy priest serves as a voice of the light, preaching to the downtrodden and disillusioned. The paladin serves as a hand of light, defending the faithful and enforcing divine law like a righteous hammer. Game god. This is the call of a paladin: to protect the weak, to bring justice to the unjust, and to vanquish evil from the darkest corners of the world. These holy warriors are equipped with plate armor so they can confront the so that they can confront the toughest of foes, and the blessings of the light allows them to heal wounds, and in some cases even restore life to the dead. Paladins do battle to protect the world from the forces of shadow, powerful warriors in their own right. They can also call upon the light to heal wounds, create shields of force, and incinerate evil creatures. Although paladins were once exclusively human, a number of stout-hearted wars have recently been welcomed to the Order of the Silver Hand. The Burning Crusade paladins are champions who call upon the light to heal wounds and combat evil. The Draenei employed such holy warriors for millennia before arrival on Azeroth to find like-minded souls among the Alliance. Recently, Blood Elves too began welding the paladin abilities, yet these elves have little in common with their counterparts must bend the light to their will. Paladins are heavily armored fighters and defenders who use holy magic to heal wounds and combat evil. They can focus on two-handed weapons, shields, or healing. Classic guide, limited to the Alliance. Paladins are bastions of divine light, meeting out justice with magic and might. The first paladins may have been Draenei, who were introduced to the light by the Naru after fleeing their home planet of Argus. Many of them join the ranks of the Army of Light through ritual during which they infuse themselves with the Holy Light, and they become Light Force Draenei and wage war against the Burning Legion throughout the Twisting Nether Second War. The second contains content related to Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness, Arius expansion Beyond the Dark Portal, Paladin, Warcraft 2, Paladin, founded during the Second War. The Paladins were a holy order of warriors whose purpose was to defend and shepherd the war-torn populace. LoreDay, the Archbishop Alonsis Fowl, had perceived that the pious clerics in Northshire who had suffered such terrible attrition in the First War were ill suited for the dangers of combat. Along with many of the surviving clerics in Northshire, he sought those only of the greatest virtue. Among the knighthood of LoreDay, and tutored them in the ways of magic, led by the crusading wheat of the Lightbringer, now rested upon the new Paladins, Christ and the Knights of the Silver Hand, to heal the wounds sustained in combat and to restore faith in the promise of the freedom from Orcish tyranny. Paladins were also known to minister to the masses during the war, gathering inside churches to deepen their faith through meditating, communing, and tithing at these sanctified sites to discover new ways to channel their healing and spiritual powers. After the war, the members of Tyr's Guard, a secret order sworn to protect the tomb in Tyr's Fall, followed the path of the Silver Hand and learned how to wield the light to become mighty paladins. Third War, the section's content related to Warcraft 3 Renegade Chaos expansion of the Frozen Throne, Paladin, Prince Arthur's Mental Purging Strapholm. Although the Paladins were once beloved, loved and revered throughout the lands of LoreDay, by the time of the Third War, they had since fallen into hard times. The entire Order of the Silver Hand was disbanded for refusing to kill innocent townsfolk who were believed to be contaminated by the dreaded undead plague. Disenfranchised and driven from their former homes, the Paladins still worked selflessly to protect humanity from the gnawing jaws of evil. Empowered by the light, these mighty warriors brandished both their warhammers and holy fire in the battle against all who would trample the meek and innocent. Now, many Paladins traveled to quarantine lands to ease the suffering of those left within the plague-ridden colonies. But although the Paladins were immune to disease of any kind, they were persecuted by the general populace who believed that they had been infected by the foul plague. Some of these Paladins traveled north, and when they finally reached Ner'zhul's icy fortress, embittered by the trials they had to suffer through, they had become dark and brooding. The Lich King offered them untold power in exchange for their services and loyalty, and they accepted to become Death Knights to his service. After the war, the Paladins who remained in LoreDay continued to fight against the Scourge. The Scarlet Crusade evolved from the Knights of the Silver Hand, dedicated to the eradication of the undead. However, there were those who believed that the Celsar and Fanatic Crusade had fallen from their once noble purpose and left to form their own order, the Ardent Dawn. Wow, World of Warcraft. But the following Third War, the humans of Stormwind and the dwarves of the Ironforge trained their own paladins as members of the Knights of the Silver Hand. A few years later, Tyrion Fordring restored the original order of the Silver Hand and LoreDay, which later merged with the Argent Dawn to form the Ardent Crusade. During the third invasion of the Burning Legion, the Order of the Silver Hand was formally re-established in support of each major paladin order on Azeroth under the leadership of the High Lord of the Silver Hand. And Argus is an order of Draenei paladins and Vindicators based on the Hazar Mist Isles. They serve as the primary military and police force of the Exodar Draenei. The Blood Knights are an order of Blood Elf paladins formed by sap and light energy from the captive Naru Muru. Once the Sunwells was restored in the wake of Kil'jaeden's defeat, the Blood Knights channeled their holy powers through it. The Sunwalkers are an order of Tauren paladins who recently learned to use the power of Anshi, the sun in Tauren mythology, to wield the light, much as druids use the power of the moon. During the Cataclysm, the Twilight Hammer deployed its own Vindicator zealots. The Zandalari prelates are Zandalari troll paladins who worship the Laurazan. Some joined Zul's campaign in Pandaria, but most stayed in Dazar Allure, serving the Empire. I will establish a new branch of the Church of Paladins. I have already selected the first candidates for this order some nights before, but others were priests. I chose these men for both their piety and their martial prowess. They will be trained not only in war, but in prayer and in healing, and in each of these valiant fighters will possess both martial and spiritual power, particularly in blessing themselves and others with the strength of the Holy Light. Archbishop Alonsis Fowl. Like priests who serve the light, paladins are devout in their faith. To serve an instrument of the light is to hold an unshakable faith after spending much of their lives in hallowed halls, studying divine doctrine. Those who pledge themselves to a holy order become beacons of the light for their allies in conflict, taking up the heavy armor and weaponry of justice. Stalwart and steadfast, these protectors are ardent defenders of the light, and all that it touches and are rejuvenated by its radiance in return. So dedicated they are to their cause that they consecrate the very ground upon which they battle corruption, holding the unwavering belief that any battle waged to eradicate evil in the world is righteous. Those paladins stand on the front lines in service to all others, dedicated to the cause of truth and virtue, the light and view. These sacred knights with the power to revitalize their comrades. If necessary, they even lay down their own lives to serve as martyrs for the greater good. Oftentimes, the most dedicated paladins become fanatical in their devotion, instruments of retribution against those who dare defy the laws of the divine. These vengeful guardians of the weak are crusaders, judging and punishing the wicked. Their resolute conviction in the divine order of all things reassures them that victory is inevitable, but they will fight to the end to ensure that the light prevails. As warriors of the holy light, they uphold all that is good and true in the world and revel all that is evil, and ensure the other embodiment of good and selfless dedication to the protection of their peoples, and offer assistance to the beleaguered while smite their enemies with holy fervor. Found in almost every corner of Azeroth, fighting the forces of evil and barbarism. These stalwart, zealous warriors ceaselessly maintain their vigil. Some paladins are known to fight with the frosty warriors, but their creed calls for them to temper their rage with patience, to make compassion a greater strength than their force of arms. Not all wielders of the light follow the same path. For example, humans and dwarves follow the path and the faith of the church of the holy light, while the Tauran sun walkers revered the sun god and she, whose power can appear either as red flames or as golden magic, similar to other divine magic among the blood elves. The blood knights embrace the renewal sun well, and through it they ask for the light's blessing to dwell out their holy powers. It is a harmonious relationship, no longer one of discord, caused by the blood elves' attempts to bend the light to their will by draining their energy of the Naru Maru, which will likely have a positive effect on blood elf society in the long run. In the Zandalari Empire, the Zandalari prelates once received their holy powers from the Low of King Rezem, but since his death it is their faith in his ideals that give them their powers in order to stand as a beacon of light against the darkness. Paladins don't always have to work within good or neutral organizations, as seen by the Scarlet Crusade faction of paladins. A priest who broke away from the Knights of the Silver Hand took their commitment to eradicating the scourge so far that they turned on their former allies, suspecting anyone whom they believed carried the taint of the undeath. However, they do have to believe they are working for good organizations or have faith that their cause is good and just. As long as they believe their cause to be just, the light will continue to serve them, because, well, the light is a matter of willpower and faith in one's own ability to do it. Since he felt convicted, Arthur Menethil's ability to use the light began to wane after he called Stratholm. He perceived this as the light choosing to abandon him, which weakened his faith in it further. Similarly, the connection with the light cannot be forcibly stripped from a paladin. That person who conducts himself in an honorable manner. When Tyrion Fordring defended the orc Atrig from his fellow humans, he was excommunicated from the Order of the Silver Hand after a ceremony was performed by the Lightbringer to strip him of his light-given powers. Even if the ceremony succeeded, as he lost his blessings and holy powers he'd obtained during his ceremony of initiation, he managed to reconnect with the light through his desperate will to save and heal an injured Atrig, and used the light even after that in the years and wars to come. In his grimoire, the broker Talora mentioned the paladins of Azeroth alongside the lightbearers from the planet Vanlin and Deskor were an example of mortals who dedicated themselves to service and duty in life, and whose souls were consequently sent to Bastion in the Shadowlands after death. Holy Paladin preview. Holy. The truth and virtue of the light imbues these sacred knights with the power to revitalize their comrades, invokes the power of the light to protect and to heal. Holy paladins have devoted themselves to healing with powerful specializations, including ability paladin, beacon of light, and spell paladin, light of dawn with their plate armor. Holy paladins are some of the toughest healers in the game. They are most powerful when close to their allies due to their invisible hammer mastery. Lightbringer, when they need to deal damage, they have access to both ranged and melee holy attacks, spell holy light, searing light, holy shock, and spell holy crusader strike, like priest who serve the light. Holy paladins are devout in their faith after spending much of their lives in hollows to halls, studying divine doctrine. Those who pledge themselves to a holy order become beacons of the light for their allies in conflict, taking up the heavy armor and weaponry of justice with an unwavering belief that any battle waged to eradicate evil in the world is righteous. These paladins stand on the front lines in service to all others dedicated to the cause of truth and virtue. The light imbue these sacred knights with the power to revitalize their comrades and necessarily even lay down their own lives to serve as a martyr for the greater good. Protection, stalwart, and steadfast. These protectors are ardent defenders of the light. Ability paladin, shield of the Templar, uses holy magic to shield himself or herself and defend allies from attackers. Through their protection spec, paladins gain an increased ability to tank enemies. Paladins are especially well known for their ability to tank many enemies at once with a rapid reproduction, strong stamina scaling, simple and very high threat and regeneration, and the superb spell Holy Ardent Defender ability making paladins powerful tanks with plate armor, shields, and an array of powerful self-healing and defensive options. Protection paladins are often hard to defeat even without a healer by their side. The paladins' tools of war lay bare their motivations. Clenched in one hand is the weapon, a deadly device for exacting righteous judgment. Locked in the other hand is the shield, a symbolic and literal barrier protecting good from evil. Stalwart and steadfast, these protectors are ardent defenders of the light and all that it touches, and are rejuvenated by its radiance in return. So dedicated they are to their cause that they consecrate the very ground upon which they battle. Corruption, retribution. Oftentimes the most dedicated paladins become fanatical in their devotion. The righteous crusader who judges and punishes opponents with weapons and holy magic. Retribution paladins favor slow, two-handed weapons, causing sudden damage spikes through both melee and spell crits. They favor single target attacks like spell Holy Crusader Strike, and ability paladin, but justice to build holy power, powering regular use of spell paladin, Templars verdict. Our ability paladin, divine storm for AoE and PvP. Retribution paladins can be very effective off fielders but have poor mobility. Retribution paladins can use powerful augments like spell Holy Avenging Wrath to buff their damage output. To serve as an instrument of the light is to hold an unshakable faith. Oftentimes the most dedicated paladins become fanatical in their devotion, instruments of retribution against those who dare defy the laws of the divine. These paladins are vengeful guardians of the weak crusaders, judging and punishing the wicked. Their resolute conviction in the divine order of all things assures them that victory is inevitable, but they will fight to the end to ensure that the light prevails. Holy power, main article, holy power. In addition to mana, paladins have a unique resource system called holy power, similar to the rogue's combo points. Holy power can be gained through certain spells and talents, such as spell Holy Crusader Strike, and ability paladin, blade of justice, and is used for casting other spells such as spell paladin, Templars verdict, and ability paladin, divine storm. Up to 5 holy power can be stored and does not decay until 30 seconds out of combat. Paladins can wear cloth, leather, mail, or plate armor, and may use a shield. They can use one-handed main hand or two-handed swords, axes, maces, and polearms. Paladins cannot do well. They're well daggers, fists, weapons, or staves. They also cannot use ranged weapons. They can summon their own warhorse at level 10 and automatically learn their apprentice riding skill. At level 10, they can summon their epic charger, however, it does not give the benefit of 100% movement speed boost until journeyman riding is learned. Lore-wise, paladins are often depicted well in large two-handed warhammers. The paladin hammer, in addition to the book of incantations, paladins often carries perhaps the most characteristic feature of a paladin. Some hammers are even known to have names, such as Arthur's Menethil's Invisible in the hammer, Light's Vengeance, and Uther's Hammer of the Lightbringer. Draenei paladins also tend to prefer their own two-handed hammers in a light-blessed and crystalline weapon known as the Hammer of the Naru. But elf paladins seem to prefer polearms instead. Paladins stand directly in front of their enemies, relying on heavy armor and healing in order to survive incoming attacks, whether with massive shields or crushing two-handed weapons. Paladins are able to keep claws and swords from their weaker fellows, or they use healing magic to ensure that they remain on their feet. Paladin talents increase their ability to heal the wounded, strengthen their capacity to protect their companions, and allow them to deal out vicious damage in the name of justice. They have several anti-undead and demon abilities, such as spell Holy Sense Undead and the sword artifact Wake of Ashes, and the ability Paladin Turn Evil, which make them very effective when fighting demons and undead targets, not including forsaken players who are considered humanoids for balance reasons. Blessings, main article, blessings. Blessings are spell buffs that can be cast on party and raid members numerous blessings are derived from previous hands and include spell, holy seals of valor, blessings of freedom, spell, holy seal of protection, blessing of protection, spell, holy seal of sacrifice, blessing of sacrifice, auras, main oracle, paladin auras. Auras, a spell that can boost the abilities of the party and rated members with passive effects, but only within a certain radius of effect around the paladin. They can be changed at any time, but with only one aura active at a time. Since Shadowlands, all paladin specializations once again have access to auras. Among them, spell holy devotion aura, spell holy crusade retribution aura, spell holy mind soothe concentration aura, and spell holy crusader aura healing. All paladin specializations have access to spells like spell holy flash shield, flash of light, or spell holy lay on hands to instantly heal themselves or an ally for the paladin's maximum health, and spell holy resurrection redemption to resurrect an ally back from death. Holy paladins have the ability Paladin saved by light absolution to correct all dead allies, and spell holy purify cleanse to remove all poison, diseases, and magic effects from them or an ally. Crowd control. Paladins have regular access to spell interruption through spell holy rebuke, and spell holy seal of might, and hammer of justice, as well as talents including spell holy prayer of healing, repentance, and ability paladin, blind light. A paladin must be good and will lose all light-given abilities if he ever willingly commits an evil act. Additionally, the paladin's code requires that he respects legitimate authority, acts with honor, not lying, not cheating, not using poison, and so forth, helps those in need, provided they do not use their help for evil or chaotic ends, and punishes those who harm or threaten innocence. While he may adventure with others from different organizations, a paladin will never knowingly associate with evil persons, nor will he continue in association with someone who consistently offends his moral code. A paladin may accept only henchmen, followers, or cohorts whose intentions are good. A paladin who violates this code becomes an ex-paladin and loses all light-given abilities until he atones for his violations. According to Bram Bronzebeard, most paladins are terrific aid in the wars, killed in combat, riding, and even doing a bit of healing here and there, except those damn retribution paladins. Most of them can't heal worth a damn. The epic paladin warrior shines as a burning fire, living embodiment of the holy light, banishing the shadows of demonic and undead corruption. He stands as a legendary symbol among the good race and the champions his party's holy cause. Demons and liches loathe and plot against him, while the alliance leaders shower him with laurels and praise. He focuses on increasing his offensive and defensive capabilities. He finds that commander feats are also appropriate. He does not neglect the fact that he is a living monument of righteousness. His reputation often precedes him and rears the individual who will not offer aid based solely on his cause and power. He increases his charisma primarily with few boosts to strength and constitution to improve his combat potential. Notes and trivia: paladins must abnegate themselves through meditation in order to become conduits for the light and use its powers. Any paladin will tell you that the brunt of their power comes from the shoulders. The bigger the better. Their description during the Warcraft 3 Alpha was as such: noble warriors of humanity employ such a strong military and powerful magics in the defense of their kingdoms, bestowed with the ancient arms and armor of their forefathers. They wander from town to town, righting all wrongs of society. Although the alliance has all but fallen apart, these valiant warriors have once again taken up steel against the enemies of humanity. Some paladins are known to charge their name after being knighted, with the example of Davil Crockford, who became known as Davil Lightfire. Several paladins are depicted with golden eyes glowing with the light, such as the paladin and Terralium units in Warcraft 2, also seen with the paladin on the Divine Favor TCG card. All Light Force Draenei have light infused eyes, even though they are not all paladins, since Battle for Azeroth. Golden eyes are also an option for Blaile's Lady Liadrin, and her paladins have them. According to Chris Metz, in the heart and soul of the Marvel Comics, superhero Captain America was particularly influential in developing the true vibe of Warcraft paladins. Their protection ability, spell Holy Avenger Shield, and the talent ability Sky Reach Shielded First Avenger are explicit references to Captain America and his famous shield. Seals were self-buffs, permanent until change, turned off by the paladins, which is specialization, which boosts the power of the paladins' melee attacks effectively. They added a weapon proc to their melee strikes. Previously, paladins could unleash these seals upon an enemy using spell Holy Righteous Fury, Judgment, causing holy damage and causing an effect depending on which seal was used. The paladin needed to have a seal active to use Judgmental Blessings, a powerful buff that can be applied to friendly players and some non-player characters. Blessings are unique to the paladin class. The paladin's blessings and auras are the buffs that combine to give the class flexibility. Blessings can be applied to most friendly targets, drastically increasing their combat abilities. Blessings are short-term spells that give their target a powerful effect before fading shortly after. Greater blessings last for 60 minutes and are only available retribution. There can only be 3 greater blessings active at one time per paladin, meaning a single paladin can only cast a total of 3 greater blessings on friendly targets. Casting the same greater blessing from multiple paladins do not stack, and applying a greater blessing on a 4th target removes the first one cast. No one feels he deserves it, and you know why? Because no one does. It's grace, pure and simple. We are inherently unworthy simply because we're human, and all human beings, and elves and dwarves and all the other races are flawed, but the light loves us anyway. It loves us for what we sometimes can rise to in rare moments. It loves us for what we can do to help others, and it loves us because we can help it. It shares messages by striving daily to be worthy, even though we understand that we can't never truly become so. With the light bringer to his apprentice, ours Menethil. The light, also known as the holy light, the holy light of creation, light of creation, is an endless, shimmering sea of energy situated outside the barriers of reality, and one of the 2 most fundamental forces in the Warcraft universe, along with the void, which was born from the absence of the former. The 2 cannot exist without the other. The light is the source of all life in the cosmos, but not necessarily good. It is the primal force, with its morality characterized by how it is willed. The light cannot fully see destiny, though neither can the void, for neither are singularly responsible for creation. The light seeks one path and shuns all others as lies. Pure light cannot exist within the physical universe, but shades of it manifest as holy magic, also called light magic, holy energy, holy arts, and sometimes referred to as divine power, divine magic, summoned by emotions, willpower, or faith in one's ability to do so. The powers of the light can be harnessed to heal, cleanse, protect, or harm. Most of its practitioners are called priests or paladins, devoted to cleansing the universe of darkness. Learning to wield this healing force takes years of discipline, as it is necessary to learn to abnegate oneself through meditation in order to become conduits of the light. Its positive energies residing in every living being, in every heart and soul, is everywhere, binding all sentient beings together as one, as it pervades and shines through everything, resonating within all things in the universe. The Naru enigmatic beings composed of shards of fractured light, maybe the purest expression of light in the physical universe. They taught the use of the light to the Draenei and other land races, such as the humans, but others have come into the study and practice of light-based magic of their own accord, such as the Tauren, who revere Anshi as the sun god that gives them their holy powers. Light is light, whatever its source, and when written to blame blood who battle for Lord Aeron, 5 King Anduin Rin using the light to heal the wounded Alliance forces during the battle for Lord Aeron. Before life began and before even the universe existed, there was only the light. The light existed as a boundless sea of living energy swirling across all existence, unfettered by time and space, yet as ever the ever-shifting sea expanded pockets of cold nothingness appeared, giving birth to a second opposite force, the void. The growing tension between the two opposing energies eventually ignited a series of cosmic explosions that gave birth to the physical universe, the great dark beyond, the cataclysmic birth of the cosmos, and shards of fractured light flying through the cosmos, suffusing the newly formed planets of the universe with a spark of life and giving birth to countless life forms, the most common of which were the primordial elementals. Occasionally, these shards of light would gather and form clouds of light, from which powerful beings would emerge, among which the benevolent Naru. The most unstable energies created by the cosmic explosion coalesced into an astral dimension known as the twisting nether, the void and the light being opposite counterparts, having been locked in perpetual conflict since before time itself began, waging their massive battle across countless worlds and the planets and affecting millions of lives with the light regarding the void as horrors to be resisted. While some of the void's servants apparently regard the Naru as beloved brethren that lost the true path which will eventually return to their embrace. The forces of the light have also been locked in cosmic power struggle with the burning legion for thousands of years, with the Xenodar described as the light's largest remaining refuge and the only one capable of waging war against the demons. Sargeras allegedly believed he had already defeated the light, instead focusing his efforts on the void, although it was ironically the army of the light which ultimately helped end his burning crusade. Most of the time, the light manifests itself as a golden shining light, though it has also appeared as a glowing white silver light, especially when coming from the moon or moonlight. Not all wells of the light follow the same path. For example, humans and dwarves follow the path and faith of the Church of the Holy Light, while the Tar and Sunwalkers revere and she whose power can appear. Others where flames are as golden magic is similar to other divine magic among the Blood Elves. The Blood Knights embrace the renewed sun well into it. They ask for the light's blessing too. While their holy powers are his harmonious relationship no longer one of discord caused by the Blood Elves attempts to bend the light to their will by draining the energy of the Maru, which will likely have a positive effect on Blood Elf society in the long run. Zonalari Empire, the Zonalari Plates once received their holy powers from the loyal Kings Razan, but since his death it is in their faith in his ideals that give them their powers in order to stand as a beacon of light against the darkness. Moonlight, mere articles, moonlight, Elune. The moonlight is a type of holy magic that can be used by the followers of the moon goddess Elune, notably the Night Elves or the Taran, who revere her as Musha. In their mythology, the priestesses of the moon, of the sisterhood of Elune, are dedicated to the worship of the Mother Moon and can be found throughout the world ready to heal the war-weary Azeroth with their light. During a visit to Darnassus, Prophet Velen explained that the color's description of Elune as well as the demonstrated powers of the goddess matches experiences with powerful Naru. However, while Tyrande thanked him for his opinion, she cordially requested that he refrain from making such outlandish claims when in Darnassus or in the presence of Elune's priesthood. Sapiency, light is a fundamental force, but it has been personified many times by its followers and others, believing that it had a will, or that it made deliberate choices, or that it was good, while the void was evil. But such concepts do not apply to the light and the void. They are simply primal forces with their morality characterized by how they are welded. The general belief was that mortals were chosen to act as vessels for the light's will. Danzel Adams interpreted the disappearance of Naxxramas when it teleported as a miracle of the light, and Fury and Ford Ring directed to address the light and asked him to grant him one last blessing in his battle against the Lich King. There are human sayings such as, "Light be with you and light willing," or "Drain at one," such as, "May the light embrace you, open your hearts to the light, and the light protect us from this madness." Others, such as Relicost and Ambrose, also believed that the light was some kind of abstract deity that guided mortals for some benign purpose, and all actions and fates were all constructs of its design. High General Abendis believed that the light had called to her, and that it had taken notice of its believers' good deeds, works, and prayers. She stated that the force of its voice had clarity and sense of purpose. However, the entity that called her was actually something else far more sinister. She said that it was commanded her to abandon the Scarlet Crusade to its doom, an act she believed was dishonorable. The Dreadlord Mal'Ganis races the light, meet up pure light, HS the Naru, Muta and Hearthstone. Though rarely seen, the creatures of the light have been observed to be naturally orderly. They are a necessary part of the universe, much like their counterparts of the void, and as the light must keep the void in check, it would follow that they must also be kept in check by the void for there to be balance. Similar to other cosmic forces, beings of the light can normally only be permanently killed in the realm of light. Killed in the mortal realm, their essence returns to the light to reconstitute, though some exceptionally powerful forces can intervene in the process. Naru, the Naru are a race of living sentient energy beings made up of scintillating holy energies from clouds of fractured light gathered. Though born in the great dark beyond, not within the light, they are its purest known expression and have vowed to bring peace and hope to all mortal civilizations and waylay the forces of the void. They are known to travel through dimensions and are the sworn enemies of the burning legion. However, the Naru themselves have different objectives. For example, Adal saw Illidan's death, while Zera apparently wanted to forge him into a light force soldier capable of destroying the legion in the void. Some of them, such as Zera and the Light Mother, have even displayed blatant disregard for mortal creatures' free will, and despite likely doing what they believe is correct, have demonstrated borderline fanaticism, apparently believing the ends justify the means. It is exceedingly rare for Naru to fall into a void state, and even rare for a fallen Naru to be brought back into the light, and the Naru's fall into the void represents a catastrophic loss for the Naru and for the forces of the light, and it is the saddest, most heart-wrenching event for the Naru to witness. Conversely, a Naru being born into the light brings renewed hope and a sense of purpose to every Naru. Lightspawn, encountered only recently, Lightspawn appears to be the light's counterpart to Voidwalkers and can always be found amongst the battlefields of the light. At least one was seen to have acted on its own attempt to stop a necromantic ritual in Exile's Reach, but it was captured instead until he was freed by an adventurer and left Azeroth. A handful of others can be found in the Nether of the Light Temple in order of the Hall of the Conclave at the service of the Naru Sara. Some of them are also with the Ember Ward in Revendreth at the site of the light's assault upon the realm of the Shadowlands. Effects on living beings, blood elves, and a Metatu, a blood elf priestess resurrecting an orc warrior. The light is often said to bring about feelings of positive emotion, hope, courage, comfort coming from the heart, and brings a sense of peace and calmness whenever its blessings are placed on someone. The light can cure sickness, remove aches, pains, and stiffness, and it can also mend broken bones. Henduin Rin believes that restoring old men's youth is not beyond the light's power, but it is not in the healer's hands. During the ritual that empowers the knights of the silver hand, the light shines down on them and through them with blinding radiance. It warms at first, then sears. The person feels scored, emptied, scrubbed clean, then filled again. The light swells inside and then fades away to a tolerable level. When Tyrion Fordring was excommunicated by Uther the Lightbringer, he was stripped of his light-giving powers, but not his connection with the light. When Medan used the light to shield himself from the old gods, he described holy magic as similar to shamanic magic, but different as it wraps around him like a warm blanket. Recent events have shown the light can be just as dangerous as the void to those who delve too deeply into it due to the light's tendency towards only one path. It can lead the other to the overly devout, the close-mindedness at mentally refusing to acknowledge any other power of a lifestyle other than the light, such as the fanatical Scarlet Crusaders. According to the Farseer Nabando, the light did not forsake the broken. It is in fact the fell energies that infused them and integrated their bodies that caused a break in their ability to be heard and to hear the light. On undead, Ashra, Healan, Felgrim, a forsaken being healed by the light. The light is agonizingly painful and destructive to the undead, but can also be used to heal undead. While this is an efficient process, it is also very painful. The souls of the undead, forsaken death knights, ghouls, etc. are imperfectly attached to their bodies. The dark magic that sustains them is a buffer that prevents their souls from properly joining with their bodies. This is why undead feel only faint sensations of pain or discomfort from most physical stimuli. And by the light, it's so painful to their existence. Trelawney, for example, used the light for interrogating the Death Knight gas Soul Ripper, causing him excruciating pain. When undead channel the light, they do not disintegrate or explode from channeling the light, though they may wish they would. Instead, it feels to them as if their entire bodies are being consumed and reduced to fire, forsaken, healed by the light. Whether the healer is forsaken or not, are effectively cauterized by the effect the wound is healed, but the healing effect is cripplingly painful. Thus, forsaken priests are beings of unwavering power. Forsaken and Death Knights tanks suffer nobly when they have priest or paladin healers in the group, and Sir Zelia really hates himself. There are reports that some forsaken have slowly experienced a sharpening of their dull senses of touch, smell, etc., as well as an increase in the flashes of positive emotions that have otherwise become so rare since their fall into undeath. Unfortunately, this may be the cause of the forsaken priesthoods. Increased attempts at self-destruction. Regaining these senses would force the priests to smell their own rotting flesh, taste the decay in their mouths and throats, and feel the maggots burrowing within their bodies. Despite all this, there exists at least one account of someone becoming undead through the power of the light, Calumenethil. Others, the light is seen in the Ember Ward and Revendreth, where their armor retaliated against Sire Denathrius long ago for unknown experiments they entered from Dawnkeep, among them the Naruz rally. The presence of the light in Revendreth caused Venthyr to turn into ash ghouls until the successful rebellion by Prince Renathal. This was used as a punishment for any Venthyr who went against Denathrius. The light can notably deal damage to the demons, and in the case of the Lothraxian, can even alter them by infusing them with holy magic.
Lore Master, Lore Master.